This is Travis Marker today. We're here with Stewart Growth and Feel Your Lance. America Francis is online with us. Um, we decided to explore for the topic today personal fitness and nutrition and how that fits in. I am recording this. This is a live session on January 3rd, so there's probably quite a few people paying attention to, how they're going to start that New Year's resolution of being amazing and beach body. And I have my beach here in the back on my filter, and I'm definitely a person who enjoys going to the beach. And despite my quest for a Mr. America body, I have yet to perfectly achieve that. It doesn't mean that we don't have the quest and enjoy studying it and just kind of exploring it. Um, America, when you think about like personal fitness, like what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Um, Working out,
Yeah,
probably.
okay, working out, but is it a positive feeling, negative feeling?
I don't really like going to just have a goal of it. I like to play. So that's one reason why I like fencing. I like a lot of variety in my workouts. So I did some nice workouts. I forget what they're called, but if I'm going to do something that's more like an exercise routine, I like to do something that's different. So today's
Hold on one
workout
second.
might be different than yesterday's.
Okay, so you I
Okay, so
like fencing, you're doing fencing and you kind of have diversity just because it helps you like not doing the exact same thing.
so I haven't been able to fence for a while because I'm in school now and fencing's far away. So I stopped fencing when school started pretty much. So it's been 3 months since I was fencing, but that's a really good workout. I did have a gym membership in my last place that I lived, and I hadn't been doing gym stuff for a really long time, but I enjoyed going. I started doing some gym stuff and getting strong, and that was really great. I enjoyed rowing. I tried the rowing machine for the first time this fall and really enjoyed doing some of that.
And so
I met Ellen Barker at the gym.
yeah, he's good. We need to get him more involved. Like I was thinking about him the other day and then we've kind of lost track of him.
He just reached out to me. We're going to hang out.
Okay, good. We need to like do another Zoom session. Well, I found that like um I had a client who's a bodybuilder and she like actually competed, won some prizes in her bodybuilding stuff. And so it was pretty interesting to get her perspective on what needs to happen and what the levels are of engagement in this process. And I think that it's interesting because it's not like when we were in high school where we just had these fire burning metabolisms and
Hmm.
it didn't matter if we went to the gym because we we were always like in my case I was always a three sport athlete, so every season I was playing a sport, and then on every Saturday I was playing a sport, just because like we'd go to the gym and then we'd go to the gym after that, and then we go down to the pizzeria and eat, a few different pizzas. It's like, and it just didn't matter because we had that fire burning thing going on. As I got older, and particularly as I've like not, depending on my area of work, and particularly as a lawyer, sometimes I have stress. I didn't understand that stress actually creates fat. It's called the visceral fat. And
Do sometimes you not have stress as a lawyer?
I think depending on what's going on, like I can have more or less stress, but I didn't understand that not managing your stress actually facilitates the development of fat around your organs, like that, the visceral fat.
Mm, mm-hmm.
And and so this my client who's a bodybuilder, she says, if you really want to take this seriously, like go down and get a body scan and uh, actually see what your body is. Like it tells you how much your muscles weigh. It tells you how much, your your how much fat you have, what kind of fat you have, how much muscle you have, and it measures it based upon like your upper torso, your lower torso, your arms, your legs. You know? So it's a pretty thorough scan. And I did that, and it was very informative. But I found in that process, it also like totally focused my attention to the details, not just like it was not a casual awareness anymore that I needed to lose weight or I needed to be stronger or whatever, right? It like helped me refine the focus. And so I started, taking some of her guidance, and I went to the gym and did some cardio, did some strength training, but I noticed that I was still in some of the scripts that I had from, just high school, like, because that's what I knew, right? You go to the gym, you work out, and then you go home and you eat pizza or whatever. And and my body was like not necessarily changing. So then I thought, wow, I have to like do this differently. So when I actually started studying, how you become fit in your 40s, it was very different than becoming fit in my, teens and 20s, where I still had a lot of energy and I could burn quite a bit. And so what I found fascinating was is that, we have some broad categories. One is just 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And before August of 2019, I did not do that. Like I didn't care when I slept. If I got 4 to 6 hours, then generally I was pretty good and, no big deal. So I had to definitely improve my sleep, just trying to get 7 to 8 hours. Then there was water. Like I didn't realize that I wasn't drinking enough water. And there's a couple different theories out there on water, by way of personal hydration, but I shot for a gallon a day because I was over 200 pounds and that was fine. But um, not everybody has to have a gallon a day, but the idea of drinking a gallon a day helps you definitely get enough water because most of us don't need a gallon a day. Some people, they'll do it the 8 cups of water, 8 ounce cups of water. So 64 ounces is not a bad start, but I think that most of the science is most people need more than 64 ounces of water. Do you know anything on that?
Don't really know on water, but I'm not a great water drinker.
Yeah.
So there's always room for me to improve in the water area.
Yeah. So definitely water's part of it. So water and sleep, um, both are also helpful in stress reduction. So getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep helps you reduce stress. It also
Mm,
helps your body relax and actually kind of go into the required levels of sleep. So um, part of my process, I also got a Fitbit, so my watch tracks how I sleep. And so you have deep sleep, you have light sleep, and you have REM sleep.
mm,
And you get a sleep score based upon how you're sleeping, and those categories of sleep impact your stress and your stress management, which are also part of weight gain, weight loss. The water is important because when you flush your system, it helps reduce stress. Like water is part of stress reduction, but it's also part of eliminating retention. So it is a weird comment to say I should drink a lot of water to lose weight, but the idea is you're actually losing water by drinking water. It helps flush sodium from your system, which is
mm,
a water retention. It also helps flush sugar and it doesn't necessarily flush specifically sugar from your system, but the idea is that you're engaging the different parts of your body that are supposed to function in eliminating water retention, and sugar can be something that facilitates water retention.
mm.
Um, so that's another reason why water is good. Then you have inside your workout, it's a surprising that depending on your heart rate, you can lose different types of um, calories. So I didn't understand that calories can be burned differently because you have calories that burn fat and you have calories that burn sugars or your your glycogen stores, your sugar stores.
Hmm.
Um, but if you overtrain and you don't have enough sugar, then that starts to burn your muscle. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't know that. Like that's not something they worry about in high school because you just eat, right?
Mhm.
So that's why somebody might say, well, why don't you try the keto diet? Because the keto diet is a diet that puts you into a ketosis, which means that your body is burning fat. Um, but you still have to trigger your body to burn the fat, right? It doesn't like when you're physically active, if you're above, if you're in the cardio or peak state of your heart rate, your body is trying to burn sugar. If it doesn't have any, it still may burn your muscle, even though you're in ketosis. But your body is supposed to be burning fat. But what you do then is if you stay under the 125 rate of your heart rate, that is called steady state exercise or just kind of low cardio. That state already orients to fat burning. And so that is an exercise more consistent with like ketosis or the keto diet.
Let's talk for a second about lymph stuff because my friend does a lot of trampoline work, and trampolining apparently is way better for you even than walking and running. And there's a lot about lymph that I don't think people pay attention to, but it can really be great for you to get on a little rebounder and just do jumping or jump on the trampoline with the kids.
I don't know much about trampolines, but as I'm thinking about the trampolines, what I'm anticipating is happening is anytime you engage in something that has muscle engagement, like calisthenics or yoga or potentially trampoline work, the question is how much of your body is in engagement. And I would think that with the
Mm.
trampoline, your core, like your upper torso, below your chest, but because your core is a little bit different than just your abs, right? It's your abs, your obliques, your like everything that's happening below and inside your rib cage, into your hip flexors and stuff. You is like your core. So I would think that the trampoline would be just super good because of the engagement that is caused by your body having to respond to that much stimulus over and over again, which does trigger your legs as well as your upper body, your stomach, and then I would also see it being depending on what type of trampoline work you're doing, there would probably be definitely some heart rate, elevation in that process.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because walk,
definitely. I hear it's better than running and it's low impact. So it's less stress on your joints than running.
I would think definitely than running. Oh, I know that walking is very low impact, but I find that the jarring process, like I just tried to do jumping jacks the other day, and like my spine was like, no, this is not, we're not doing jumping jacks.
Water
So
aerobics are really good for low impact too. I used to work at a pool and I really enjoyed the water aerobics class I was helping with.
yeah, well, I think that I like to go to a pool and I'll run in the water
Mm,
because it's a little bit would probably be somewhat similar to the trampoline concept where a lot of your body is being engaged in the process like by way of resistance back and forward up and down movement and I think yeah water aerobics are definitely good for that type of engagement.
I don't like being cold, so I don't like pool stuff as much, but
Well, you
it's
got to
really
go
good
to
exercise.
don't you go to like a heated pool?
I don't have one that I know of at the moment. I guess there's one at the rec center, but
Yeah, well, and then I guess if we progress down like the exercises, the as a lot of documentation supports strength training. It doesn't necessarily have to be muscle, strength. Like you don't necessarily have to be working to set your max or something, but just doing resistant muscle training increases your bone density as well as your muscle mass.
yeah, I think it's really important for us to talk about aging. Like your body changes a ton during this period of our lives. And then people who work out and people who don't work out have really big different um outcomes, that now it's becoming critically important that we move and that we do the strength training. And you notice people start moving just in really constricted ways if they haven't kept up.
Yeah, there's definitely like I noticed in myself if I don't do some form of a warm up,
Oh, yeah.
like and even if like I don't do, I'm not a person who has like a roll bar or but even just making sure I have kind of warmed my body up, whether that's bending up and down or uh like maybe doing some like walking or hill work or something of that nature, like some form of movement for a period of time that just kind of helps my body limber up has definitely helps me like before I engage in the weight process.
Ooh, before we get too much further, I want to talk about pickleball
Okay.
because pickleball is a really good workout and it's super fun. Um, I started doing some pickleball with my aunt, and she plays with people who are 70, 80. They probably like they're old. You would not believe how spry these women are. They do it 5 days a week. I was tired and sore after doing it one day. They do it longer than I do. They do it more frequently than I do. I was barely keeping up with these people, and I'm 25 years younger than they are.
Right.
And it doesn't feel like working out. I avoid doing things if I feel like I have to work, exercise. Like, I would so much rather play pickleball than do anything that feels like a workout. But pickleball is just a very, very good use of workout time if you're going to if you have a certain amount of time, it's a good use of that time.
Well, and I think that the nice thing is that it is I mean, for those who maybe don't know pickleball, it's basically a larger ball form of tennis and ping pong, right?
It's way easier than tennis.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying is that that's
You
the
don't have to
concept is
have the same skills. Tennis, you it's so easy to mess up that it's hard to get any kind of back and forth volleying going on.
right,
But
right. Well, I
pickleball
guess
you
that's
can
what
play with different ages and it's easy to pick up as a beginner.
correct, but I'm just saying that the rules are even it's closer to ping pong than tennis, right? But because the
I don't
ball's bigger, well, because the ball's bigger, it allows like you have a little bit more grace, like you're not playing the same velocity, but you still get a lot of movement and you can volley and
Yes.
yeah.
So fun.
And I think that it like that combination that allows for movement that's fun and free but still competitive, it's good, but it definitely removes kind of the tenaciousness that you might have to maybe engage in by way of your body's exertion that you might experience more in tennis. Thus, you can see lots of pickleball courts showing up in St. George, Utah, and other places where you would have more elderly people because it's like it's the process. The game itself is not as tenacious. It's not as hard. I know my dad still plays racquetball, which
Mhm.
is not like pickleball, but like we're all like
Racquetball's
stop.
fun too.
It is fun. We're like, but it's a little bit too. It's more tenacious than pickleball.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
your engagement, your body engagement, the way you have to like get across the floor, your potential harm to your body.
Hmm.
But he's 70 something and he likes it. And if you're thinking about that process like pickleball or those kind of activities as engagement, the idea is if you can get your body, if you can get your heart rate in like the steady state, between like 100 and 125, for a half hour to an hour, that's really good for your heart. Like that's really good heart, action, and it's in the fat loss, the fat burning zone where you're not focused so much on sugars and your muscle, where you're actually focusing on like that's the type of fat loss that is healthy for your body while it still helps you maintain your muscle mass.
Hmm.
So I definitely like that idea. I also do the hiking and walking. I don't necessarily do as much hiking as I used to because I ran into a couple rattlesnakes and I'm just like not in the mood.
Ooh.
So so I hate to like if I go on a walk, I don't want to worry about what's on the trail. And in Utah late
Yeah.
recently, there particularly as things got hotter, um, yeah, like this I think a couple years ago was the first year I ran into two rattlesnakes in one summer. And I
Mm.
just was like, I'm just not gonna do this. So I do like to I'll trail walk in the snow because generally there's no rattlesnakes in the snow. But then you have to worry about making sure you have the right foot gear because sometimes the
Hmm.
trails can become icy, slippery. So how do you like? What do you have any opinion on the different diets out there, like keto, Mediterranean, carb cycling? Like, do you have any experience with that stuff that you enjoy or don't enjoy?
So I was reading something the other day that said if there's a name to your diet, it's not sustainable. And my opinion about dieting is add more vegetables. Green smoothies are awesome. There's a whole, you can get recipes for green smoothies. They're really fast and easy. I think they're very palatable. My kids will drink them. They get a bunch of great nutrition in you, and it's fast and easy. Um, I've cut a lot of dairy out just naturally. It wasn't that I was avoiding it, I just kind of stopped that. Kind of the same with bread. I used to eat more bread and now I don't. So I just focus on adding things that are going to help. Nuts, green things, avocados are amazing for you. I don't buy a lot of avocados for no reason. Well, yeah, they're kind of pricey, but they're so good for you and they're delicious. One time when I got my life insurance test, whatever, because they were going to price it, I ate a bunch of avocados because I knew that would raise my whatever avocado. There's a level of something
It was going to raise your good fats.
my good cholesterol. It knocked it out of the park. It was so useful. And why I just did that for a test and didn't incorporate it better into my diet makes no sense. Like, my body needs better good cholesterol. I'm eating an avocado every single day. But I focus on a lot of different elements when I'm fixing food. Sometimes it's just a bother to fix food and I don't want to deal with it. But I factor in price, I factor in ease of preparation, um, what I want to eat. But I was really lucky because my parents had really good eating habits. And so I just don't buy garbage and I don't keep garbage in my house. And my body just wants to eat things that are good for me. So gardening is a really good way to get good food into you. And um, I think habits are really useful as far as diet. So you can get into a habit of eating two or three things in the morning, just automatically have them available, have them cooked. Um, One of my friends makes something called potter's porridge that you can buy online, and um, it's a bunch of really good grains that you cook, like in a crock pot, or you there are several ways you can cook it, but it's a hot cereal and it's very nutritious. Granola is a really good morning aspect.
So how would
There are
you,
lots of
so let's say you're not like,
berries, yogurt.
let's say you don't have the propensity to eat healthy. Like what are your thoughts on not eating perfectly, but still engaging in weight loss or fitness?
People are addicted to sugar. Okay, I'm going to tell you the most important thing. I mean, that's not true. Okay, ignore that statement. I think people focus on eating things that are low fat or low calorie or diet foods. And I think diet foods are terrible for people. They are full of different kinds of chemicals and different kinds of substitutes that are just as, like, I think people should just eat whole foods, eat things that are as uh processed as little as possible. um, that's why I was saying green smoothies are really great. Find a green smoothie. All you have to do is add a green smoothie to your diet, and you don't have to eliminate a lot of other things. My kids eat whatever, like, it's okay to have a soda sometimes. It's okay to have birthday cake. It's okay to have desserts. It's just a moderation thing. I think that if you're eating a lot of really solid nutritious stuff, then if you want to eat other things too, it's not a problem. But I think when people don't have the good elements as the foundation of their diets, then they're eating, I don't know, fast foods or processed foods, whatever you get, you know, things that are, that when you made them homemade were very occasional, and now people eat them constantly.
Yeah, I think that one of the best things that I did was the Atomic Habits book, and it talks about the daily tracker. I appreciate that some people don't want to maybe adopt that maybe fastidious approach to their fitness, but the general idea is if you eat less, I mean, if you burn more calories than you eat, you should um like become healthier, right? I mean, like your body will it should be in a slight deficit, which would mean that your body should um it should go down.
Well, so here's the problem. People get into this mindset where they feel like it's deprivation, like I can't eat that. And then you have to like punish themselves, or they have to keep away from things that they like. And when they start having this really unhealthy relationship with food, then their focus, when we talk about like manifesting stuff, their focus is that if I eat this, then I'll gain weight. And then their bodies are just so worried about losing weight, and they're so hungry and whatever. Of course, they're going to gain weight. They won't lose it. But
Right.
when they
Well,
start saying, I'm adding this healthy thing and finding some healthy food that they really enjoy, if you add something that's full of nutrients and you like to eat it, you just have it available and you just go grab your whatever healthy snack or whatever your healthy breakfast, you'll start feeling energized by that food, and your relationship to food will be positive.
when I definitely like, I mean, I totally agree with your idea to the relationship to food and being positive because deprivation by itself is not the key, right? Because even you can't even go into too much of a deficit in your calories before your body reacts to that, and that slows down your metabolism and then also creates stress, which slowing your metabolism and creating stress create fat. And so,
There are foods you can eat that burn more digesting them than they provide for you. There's a
correct.
soup you can eat where the more of it you eat, the more fat you burn.
Yeah, but I guess what we're talking though is about is if we, I guess what I'm identifying, and I think you're alluding to, is like creating a healthy way to eat that you enjoy eating will help you become fit.
Well, yeah, if you're talking about the Mediterranean diet, how delicious! Like a bunch of fresh fruit, foods like cucumbers and tomatoes, and you've got fish and you've got salads, and that's the diet I would go for. There's lamb, there's lots of choices,
Well, and like
and they
you
taste
also said,
delicious. They're light and fresh.
yeah, and there's whole grains. There's lots of whole grains in the Mediterranean diet. Like you can eat the oats and the brown rice and
I'm big into whole grains. Lots of different good grains for you.
but I think what people do though is that they're like, well, if I can eat carrots, then I'll eat like couple bags of carrots, but they then they're out of balance, right? If you the question, and then you're like, well, what about Thanksgiving? Like, if I come, like, can I eat the pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving? And
Yes, you can eat everything on Thanksgiving. What the heck, man? It's one meal.
well, it's one day sometimes, right? Because it's like you have the meal in the morning and the meal in the afternoon, and then the meal in the evening. Then you have the second meal in the evening. It's like you're like on Hobbit meal version, and you got like
Yes,
second
but
breakfasts and
anybody that's in a generally healthy state can do a Thanksgiving and not be a anything, not even a blip. It's just Thanksgiving, whatever, it's fine.
yeah. But I think that if you don't have a plan, if you're not aware, because I think this comes into some of the things we're talking about is you can't eat unaware. You can't just live unaware because that's where your body is like I'm not saying you have to be super strict aware either, but if you're not aware and you're just wondering like what's happening, that's what's happening is you have no idea what's happening. Like if you are trying to actually achieve goals with your health, if you're trying to achieve goals with your exercise, if you're trying to achieve business goals, you have to be aware enough that you're measuring something, even if you're casually just paying attention to it, like that helps you more than anything. But I also agree with you that it shouldn't be stressful. But like I have a sister-in-law who is tremendously fit and she eats literally whatever she wants. But she also probably burns, you know, like she has 1,000 calorie exercises, and she's over 50. And, but if she doesn't have 20,000 steps every day, she just feels like there's something missing in her life. But that type of like energy load and expenditure allows that type of freedom to kind of become a little bit casual, but she still is aware that her minimum goal is 20,000 steps a day, right? So she's
Wow.
basically telling herself she will be super active every day. But then after she's super active, she's kind of set that awareness, then it doesn't necessarily matter after that, right? Because she kind of knows what she eats after that point is not as relevant as the fact that she's already set like her metabolism and her energy load fairly high so that she knows that she's covered with whatever she eats. and
Yeah,
and that is how
definitely.
and she eats like she enjoys cheeses, she enjoys desserts, she enjoys breads, but she's also kind of like um that's how she's budgeted her allowance. Like if you budget it closer to like, well, I'm going to just be at the minimum exercise threshold and I'm going to eat whatever I want, you know that is not really awareness. Like
Yeah.
that means that you're attempting to attempt, but you're not actually really engaging in the process of being healthy because you're kind of like, I'm gonna do the minimum, and inside that minimum zone, there's just not a lot of grace period. Where if you extend your energy maxes, then you have a lot more grace period on what you're eating.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are so busy that they're not so intentional about what they're going to eat when they're out and about. So they just grab snacks or they're hungry or they're just buying whatever on the road and they're not getting meals or they're not sitting and eating. It's more
Yeah.
just like eating bars or whatever.
Well, because even if you talk about your smoothies, which I totally support green smoothies, I think they're great. But if you just put in broccoli and whatever else and water and maybe some berries, you might have a low calorie smoothie, which is really good for you. But let's say you start adding in like whey and milk or juice or things that have a higher calorie content like cream. uh your 300 to 400 calorie smoothie in one cup might also now be 1,000 because it's liquid calories that were just compounded in the different sugars in like the juice or in the other stuff, right?
That's true. That's true. But
But
I
it
don't
doesn't mean
count
that you shouldn't have.
calories at
I'm not
all.
saying
I don't worry about fat at all.
yeah, well, I'm not saying that you can't eat a smoothie. I'm just saying that people just don't pay attention. They're saying, "Oh, I should eat a smoothie." Well, how many things can I get in that thing, and then still drink it? And it's only 16 ounces. You're like, holy cow! That you, I stopped drinking smoothies myself because I couldn't. When I make a smoothie, like I do add a lot of stuff in it that I'm like, I'm just killing it right now. But I think smoothies are pretty awesome because they are like particularly with kids, like if with my kids, they didn't always want to eat, you know, maybe carrots or something like that, or whatever. Sometimes you can throw that kind of stuff in a smoothie and they'll eat it because they can't taste it anymore.
Yep.
Um, I guess if we talk about, let's just say that, you just don't know what to do. How do you think you would help somebody just get started?
What is their goal? Do they want to feel more energetic? Do they want to
Let-
feel less sluggish? Do they want to feel stronger?
Let's just say they just know they need to do something. I mean, like, what would you just tell somebody? You're like, look, what would be like the base minimum goals? Like maybe you don't want to do food yet. You don't want to do, or maybe you don't want to do fitness yet. Like how would you
Tiny
just,
habits, Travis, tiny habits, anything you do, but you've got to attach something little that's not intimidating. It doesn't take very long. Just attach it to something you already do. So if you want to learn how to floss your teeth, you just floss one tooth and you do it next to when you're brushing your teeth. You just add anything, and that could be add one piece of fruit.
yeah, I
Like, eat
totally,
a strawberry, eat
and
a
I,
grape.
I totally agree with you because that's what the Atomic Habits book recommends is incremental change. So it's not advocating for tremendous or, gigantic strides. If you just say,
Walk to the mailbox.
yeah, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna track a habit, and in their daily habit tracker, like it was not hard, and they don't tell you which habits to track, but I created like 10 habits initially, and I did track it for a year. But by the time I got through the year, I was only down to 2 habits that I was really tracking, and a lot of it was just the idea of just paying attention to what matters, just that awareness of like what would help me feel good, or what are the things that I actually don't need to track because I do them already, or but I think if you're going to just start off, like I do think you're correct that the idea is start something because I think that awareness of something does help you start to increase your scope of awareness, and then it broadens out, and you're able to. Uh, I think you. What I found is as I track habits, it makes me naturally track more things that I just am more aware of and pay attention to more things. And it doesn't mean I'm creating my stress load. It sometimes just means I actually am decreasing stress because I'm eliminating more things that maybe I don't need to pay attention to, or you just go slower.
Hmm. I think the grocery store thing is a big deal. So I probably would say either add something that you normally haven't been buying, just get something and put it right in the front of your refrigerator. So when you're hungry and snacky and whatever, you grab that one healthy thing that's right in front, and it doesn't have to be something that you don't like, just something that's going to help your body improve.
Yeah, well, I know that some days I'll plan out my food for the entire day. Like I'll just because I'll know what the calorie I want to hit would be, and I'll kind of like just know, and I'll have those foods available for me for that day. Like if I know that I'm not going to go out to a family dinner or something like that, sometimes it's harder to lay out your food if some of it's random. But if you just know, like I need to eat this much calories in this time period, I would do kind of what you're saying. Like maybe I would lay out some blackberries, or I'd lay out some almonds, or you might lay out a banana, or you lay out some. But then you have your protein. Maybe it's a protein shake, a drink, or a protein bar. But you can kind of like lay out the foods that you would actually want to eat, and you put it out there for the day, and then you can attend to it, right?
Yeah, for me, I would probably buy more avocados. Just eat more avocados. I had a job one time where I don't really care about salads a lot, right? Like, people are into salads, I don't really care. But I had this job for a while and I started taking salads, and it was surprising to me how I started looking forward to these salads. and I would just pack them, but I would always put a lot of interesting things in there, and I'd put some meat and cheese and cottage cheese and lots of little things. And I just really appreciated those salads, and I never would have considered myself normally a salad person. I kind of think salads are boring, but with those novel ingredients that were nutritious and I thought were really good, I basically was eating salad for breakfast, I guess, when I or whenever I ate them. I just started to, because I was intentional about them, I just made the ones that I liked and they were good. And so I was eating a lot more of those healthy things.
Yeah, I love salads. My family thinks I make the most unique salads because I just like you were identifying, I enjoy diversity in my salad. So I don't like make one salad that has kind of some things in it. I'll kind of start with a plate and I'll usually put some like the spinach or lettuce part in the middle. And then I kind of do the buffet style where I'll have some blackberries on one side or blueberries on the other side and maybe a little cottage cheese on one side. I usually add in some savory stuff like green olives or Kalamata olives or black olives.
Mm,
Then I add in maybe some cheeses. Like I'll have a section that might have some blue cheese on it, but also maybe some Gruyere or Swiss cheese or feta cheese. And then like I'll pick a salad dressing to kind of go over the top where there's like a cilantro lime or a blue cheese. But salads
mm.
are really good and you can be pretty diverse. Also, like also banana peppers. I like to put some banana peppers in and
Yeah, definitely. I think
grated.
adding meat to my salads was one of the biggest things, or cheese, because I just didn't like the plain. But once I added meat or cheese, then I was like, oh, this is something I want to eat.
Yeah, well, and you can also have seasonal salads. Like, I might add more like, fruits to my salad. And
Mhm.
I don't necessarily add like bananas, but like you can definitely add strawberries and raspberries and
Apples.
yeah, apples, grapes, um,
Hmm.
or even like the tuna fish salads or chicken salads. Those can be kind of fun to
Yeah.
make.
Hmm.
Another salad that I enjoy is I don't know if it's technically a salad, but it's the Italian caprese salad where you
Mm.
you take the mozzarella with tomatoes, and then you have
Basil.
like um, balsamic, no pesto and
Hmm.
or balsamic on it, and that's really a tasty snack.
Definitely. See, how much more fun is it to think about eating delicious things than to talk about dieting?
Well, I think it's totally fine to do it. I just think that we have to. I think if you're going to be successful, you still have to know what you're eating, right? You still have to have an idea of like what is the chemistry around this process because not like there is nothing has there's no I was looking on Instagram and they had these calorie free vegetables but yet they attributed calories to every one of the vegetables. I thought, like like are they trying to say that it's outweighed by the fiber in the vegetable because even that doesn't happen. So I just
I
think
think
that
it
with
takes more calories to break down the vegetable than it provides.
maybe. But I still think that if we're looking for shortcuts, like there just aren't any. And I think more of it is if you kind of embrace what are my goals in connection to like what I'm eating, are they synonymous? Like am I aligning my goals and my eating together, or am I pretending that like I don't know if do you ever watch the comedian Tim Hawkins?
No, I don't know him.
Uh, he's like a Christian comedian, so it's pretty clean, and he's super funny, and he kind of pokes fun at Christian congregations and humor. And he says,
Mm.
"What is this like prayer over the refreshments?" And they're like they're Doritos and they're like soda pop. He's like, "What are you trying to like pray for the compound of a Cheeto to turn into a carrot by the time it hits your stomach?" He's like,
That'd
"What?"
be fun.
Yeah, he's like, "Why do we pray over donuts? Like, what are you expecting is going to happen to that donut?"
Well, I
Like,
think we can appreciate them even if we don't get a lot of nutrition.
yeah, but he's like, I bless this, we bless the food to be nourishing and strengthening to us. Like, it's a donut. Like it's not going to nourish and strengthen you. It's going to like, it'll do a variety of things, but it's not going to become a carrot.
Yes. Well, and then we talk about the whole kid element. Like, healthy eating starts when you're a kid. So if you want people to be eating healthy as adults, as children, they can't just eat garbage all the time. And a lot of kids have sensory things and dislike vegetables and whatever. So it's important to include the options for a variety of nutritious foods frequently when people are young.
I agree. Well, and particularly like with my kids, I try to show them diversity in the foods. So, because I do like the Mediterranean diet concept, which it does include cheeses. And so we don't often go to just to the yellow bar of cheese section. Like I'll actually go look in the Smiths will often have a discount clearance section on cheese, cheese that might be about to expire, which is kind of weird because it's all moldy cheese anyway. But
I did
um,
not even know that. That's good to know. I love cheese.
yeah, so if you go to Smith's, they'll usually have a clearance section in every one of their departments. So there's a milk area clearance section,
Mm.
which will include cheeses, or in the meat section, there's a clearance section which could include, pork roasts or, beef roasts. But you'll also have like the bread clearance section, which have their pastries and other stuff like that. So I'll go to the cheese section because that's where you can get the brie or the, for half off, or even like 70% off its normal price. And then
Cool.
that's where the kids can eat cheese curds and stuff. So I think
Mhm.
it's helped them kind of create some interest in things other than just like the standard, like cheddar or the standard, you know, Colby.
Did you tell me you haven't been to Europe yet?
I've not been to Europe
Travis, you have to go to Europe.
yet. I would like to go to Europe. I will plan to go to Europe.
Wow, it's
I just
food
don't know when I'm.
heaven.
I don't know when I'm going, but I know that in Europe, I've heard in Europe there's also a discussion about breads because in
Mhm.
Europe they still don't make them with all the ways that processed bread is made in the US. And
Mhm.
so people can, even like people with gluten-free allergies apparently can eat bread in Europe because there's that whatever happens with a lot of the breads in the United States doesn't happen with breads in other countries sometimes, like in Europe. So I don't know if that's true or not. This is me making that up, but
The
I think that
US
that's an
diet is
interesting.
so toxic.
What?
The US diet is so toxic.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is when you like my dad we used to go on Fridays, we would get off work and we would go to the Wonder Bread factory because my dad would do a lot of work at the Wonder Bread factory and he knew they had their day out sections.
Hmm.
And we would always get like the apple pies and and even those things are just so different than they used to be, right? Like, I mean, high fructose corn syrups, and then they'll have high fructose corn syrup, and then they'll have more corn syrup, and then they'll have sugar, and you're like, wow, like you need three sweeteners in this thing now, like what, like what's
Yeah.
what's wrong with this sugar? Or yeah, see, things are way different than they used to be. Like when you pick up a loaf of bread and there's like 36 ingredients in it, you're like, wow, like what happened to like like water or milk, yeast, flour, you know?
I think Michael Pollock has a book about eat this, not this, something like that. I guess he's the author. And they have some really good rules. Like, if your grandparent doesn't know what it is, or if you can't pronounce the ingredients, or, just like if you can eat foods that you that are in their closest state to when they're harvested. I was opening a can of tuna the other day and I was like, how many people don't know what a tuna looks like? Right? Like they don't know how huge of a fish it is because it just comes in a can. And a
Yeah.
lot of children don't know where all these foods come from and if it's a food product versus like of food, then you know it's garbage. There's so little nutrition in there. Another test you can do is, will bugs eat it or will mice eat it? Because there are some foods that bugs won't even touch because they're so nutritionally void that these vermin won't even eat the things.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have noticed that there are things like that, like and it is surprising to me because I'm like, isn't it food? And, and it's kind of like when they won't eat it, you're like, I guess it's not food. So I think if we're gonna like we're getting closer to the top of the hour, so let's I guess if we summarize some concepts on maybe how you fill your lamp of personal health. I can say from my own personal experience, the 7 to 8 hours of sleep is revolutionary. Like it sometimes it feels like you're being a little bit lazy if I sleep that long, but I also am aware that not sleeping that long is not good for me. Um,
Travis, I'm a 10-hour minimum person. I
yeah,
need
that's
so
good.
much sleep.
Well, and can't you say that? I mean, there's definitely benefits to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better to budget your life around making it happen versus saying, I guess I'll try to do without it. Like maybe I don't need as much now. Like, well, eventually you'll need it. So I'm definitely I think that the sleep, if you're trying to become fit or healthier, is critical.
Well, my body just shuts down. I don't have options like maybe I'll just deprive myself of sleep. No, if I slept 4 to 6 hours a night, that would be completely unsustainable. And my body would be like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on water? I think that's fairly critical that people, explore hydration.
Theoretically, I think it's really good and I do think it's necessary, but I hate drinking it. So I have to add something. Sometimes I'll add.
Well, I think it doesn't necessarily have to all be straight water. I think the idea is hydration, right? So you know, there's a variety of things that people can drink that equate to hydration, but I think our water intake is good, right? Like even if that's like lemonades or just not like high sugary drinks, but like hydration, things that promote hydration.
I think that cutting out soda is one of the best things people can do. If they have a habit of drinking a soda every day or drinking 8 sodas every day, that's one of the easiest things that they can decrease. And definitely water is a great thing to add.
Yeah. And I think if you come down to, daily exercise, I think we've explored that there's a variety of things that people can do for daily exercise, but there's a lot of evidence that says we have to be less sedentary. Like you just have to get out. And for me, like my health insurance company they pay me to be active 20 days. Like if I have 7,000 steps, at least 20 days in the month, they give me $10. It's not like it's not like I'm going to go out and do a lot with that, but the fact that they're paying me to like, be healthier, I think is funny. So I try to set where I can at least get 20 days where I get 7,000 steps. And I'm sure there's other health insurance companies that have similar models. Also, they pay me $10 if I go to the gym at least once a month. So like those are kind of like base minimums for me, which I exceed. But I also think it's funny that if I just look at those minimum encouragement standards of 7,000 steps a day for a month, 20 days, and then just going to the gym in a month, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just going to come back to rebounders. I think if you get a mini trampoline and just bounce on it for 10 minutes or something every day, that would have huge, even for elderly people or whatever, if getting strong with your balance, avoiding falls, those kinds of things make a big difference. It doesn't take very long. You can do it inside. Um, Rebounding is worth so much more than walking and running that if you only have 10 minutes, you're getting the equivalent of double that for if you went on a walk.
Yeah, I agree. So we have some form of physical exercise, water, drink, and then we have nutrition, which is kind of all over the board. But my summary with the idea is that you have to be aware of what you're eating. And I totally support America's ideas on, whole foods, green foods, vegetables. Um, but I also appreciate that, if you want to have a break or whatever, the question is, are you aware of what you're doing and what you're going to do? Because a lot of times people say, they have cheat meals or cheat days. Well, some of that also just equates to what kind of, energy expenditure you're going to have that day. Because like if you have a 5,000 energy expenditure that day and you only eat 3,000 and it's all junk food, it wasn't a cheat day. Like you didn't eat enough food.
Well, and I
So
think people can eat the things that they love and they don't have to eat the whole package of Oreos or whatever. Like some people can choose to eat very calorie rich, dense, decadent things and just have a small piece of it or just have it every once in a while. And you don't have to cut out all the things that you love. Make
totally
room
agree.
in your diet for the things that you like to eat.
I agree. But I think the question is just, are you aware of it? And I think that for me, that's one of the differences that I learned from the Atomic Habits book.
Excellent.
So wherever anybody's at, whatever you're doing, whatever the new year looks like for you for resolutions, I think, uh, like as America said earlier, just baby steps and incremental awarenesses may make all the difference, but you should definitely try and do something because I think that there's a lot of benefits to living healthier that, are not tradable after a while. Like once you realize you're living healthier, there's just some things you wouldn't trade for it. I could say that for certain myself.
Maybe
Um,
add some vitamin D. Some
yeah,
things are pretty easy and can make a big difference.
absolutely. These sessions that we present in are, they are public. Anybody can join us. Anybody can submit comment for us. You can find them on our YouTube channel, Steward Growth, and on our website, www.stewardgrowth.com. We love to participate and help people grow. This is only one of the classes that we offer, but we love to help people reach their goals and do great things. You want to say anything, America?
Bye now.
Bye now.
Good luck with all your resolutions, everyone.
Absolutely.